What's up, everybody? We got Ben and Chad here, the B Team podcast, the Splitting Hairs podcast put on by Jackrabbit Illustrated. Brendan's dealing with some work stuff. He'll be with us shortly. We're, as always, presented by Drake's Place up in Baldo, South Dakota, your one-stop shop for all your convenience store needs and any food needs you got while you're in the area. Then also Cottonwood Coffee and Bistro in Brookings, South Dakota. Stop by for some good breakfast there, really good coffee. You can find their coffee in select Walmart, I believe in Minnesota, and you can order coffee online using the discount code, or you can get a discount of 10% using the code JI22. Woo! So,
well done, sir. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Still riding that high a little bit, I'd say.
Dude, I am too. And it's like, how many days has it been since the championship?
Well, I mean, no one's counting, are they? It's just we're champions right now. Let's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 9 days since the championship, which for me has been a whirlwind. For those that don't know, I flew directly from Dallas to Orlando on Sunday night after the game, which, I mean, didn't suck to start a vacation after a vacation, but yeah, I was in Florida for the last week, and then just got back on Sunday. I'm just kind of getting back into the swing of things here, but yeah, I mean, even people that don't really care about SDSU much are still like asking about the game and talking about it. I mean, there's just this buzz, and like you mentioned, you seem to see a lot more blue around lately. Like people are kind of getting into the spirit.
I think it's great, man. Yeah, basking in the afterglow, perhaps, is how I should say that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of wondering when you were going to come pick up your truck, but, didn't have to wonder when I was in the middle of a podcast with Coach Stig. And I'm like, Ben's calling. I wonder if it's something important. Let me hop off.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I was on a plane, and then I was watching that stupid Vikings game. So
speaking of that podcast, did you get a chance to watch it yet?
I did. And if anybody else hasn't watched the A-Team podcast from this Sunday evening with Coach Stig, go watch it. As we all know,
off for it.
Coach Stig is an absolute legend. He was so down to earth, so open and honest, and just was, I mean, that interview was great to see. Like, he's usually open and honest, but like he was very like personal. That interview was like, he opened himself emotionally. He even got emotional a few times. And so that was really cool to see that he was willing to do that with us. So we thank Coach Stig, and want everybody to go check that out, because that was an awesome interview. And I would recommend watching the video, because it's a little, I mean, you get more of the emotion when you see him getting choked up on the video. And also you get to see him walk around his house looking for a phone charger, which was just...
Did you catch? I was like, Blair Witch with Coach Stig, and that went over his head. I'm pretty sure, but that's okay.
Which was just so funny to watch, and it's just so him. Like he doesn't care. He's like, yeah, just come along with me while I find my phone charger.
No, we were a little bit late on that pod, and I hope no one gets mad about this, Matt. Forgive me if we were a little bit late, and we're concerned Stig didn't have the right details, at his fingertips. So I was like, Matt, do you want me to send him an email? So yeah, I did that. Well, then yesterday I get an email like, did we talk about this, in response to my StreamYard email, the one that you always get? And I'm like, oh, so sorry, Coach. Like, that was, we're just making sure you got the info. But I mean, he's so genuine, and that was my point with that. Like, and like you were talking about the emotionality of it, like, yeah, I mean, he was pretty stoic in interviews afterwards. That is, I mean, he's always been really matter of fact, and he still was, but like, him choking up was getting us. Like, it got dusty in this room here, no lie. And
I mean,
if you don't,
it meant a lot to him. Like the whole, just the culmination of the championship, the way it happened against NDSU. I mean, and with the fan support we had there, you can see how much that meant to him and how much he looks back and thinks about how he built it. It's just so cool to see him be able to see that all come to fruition. And I mean, you talk about, tears. Like I haven't had that many tears over like the course of, I don't know, that whole day. Like I haven't had that many tears in a long time. That I just kept, like, it was overwhelmingly emotional. Just to like, and I'm not a former player. I'm not, former coach or anything or whatever, but just being a part of it, it was just a very, very cool thing. Hey, Brendan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad I could
welcome,
make it.
sir. I believe you've been listening in the background. Care to chime in?
Yeah, a little bit. Sorry I'm late, everybody. I got a work dispatch that didn't get dispatched until right when the show started, so that's fun. That was it. It was just phenomenal seeing Stig, and one of my favorite parts, besides getting to see you guys talk with Stig, and just seeing Stig be himself and how he always is the amount of people that I had that were non-SDSU fans that watched and were like, "Oh man, dude, this guy is awesome." And them getting a chance to see who Coach is and how he is, I think that is the coolest part for me, for that to be able to be shared a little bit in a different manner. Because like you guys said, when he's at a press conference, he's himself and everything, but it was just a lot more personal with the way you guys did it. It was phenomenal.
Yep, I agree. We should go back to Jordan Fink's comment. That was a very good point.
That's a good one.
My confidence prior to the game was accurate. Hats off to me. Thanks,
Good
Jordan.
on you, buddy.
Yeah, there you go. Don't toot your own horn much.
Yeah. Hey,
well,
it was up there, but let's put it back up there.
I just had to mention that, and the fact that I officially won the picks bet that we had. I did. I purchased. I thought I should have thought of it last week, but I didn't. I thought of it today. I purchased the headphones that Brendan will be wearing next year.
No, I'm serious. Why? Cancel it, because my sister has a set because she does Twitch streaming and stuff. So
I think for what Ben spent on them, you get to wear.
These are going to be worth it.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
It's not that I lost. It's and I'm not saying it wasn't worth it at all. It's totally worth it. I would have worn them to the game if that ensured we won. I would have dressed in some really weird shit if that meant we would win.
Like a bunny suit?
Like, no, weirder than that. I don't think a bunny suit was that weird. It was awesome. That was amazing.
Awesome, yeah.
It got me on TV, I guess. It's it's upsetting that I lose by one, and for sure two of them. I went, two. At minimum, it would have been tied if I didn't keep the mojo going of picking the points against us. However, which leads us into a good point. Holy shit, were we dominant this playoffs?
Oh my God.
Like, you look back, and Dallas looked back, and I had looked back like right after the run, and it was it's jaw-dropping. The average margin of victory was 24 points. And considering that Holy Cross was like the closest game at 21, that's insane. That's over 3 possessions average margin of victory. That's a 4-possession game on average. That's not just winning. That is dominating the whole way through. This squad tore it up.
But wasn't this the same offense people were saying couldn't put up much numbers about mid-season?
Right. Which,
and we're like, well, it's because we don't have to. Like,
well, it wasn't that we didn't have to. It was the Tucker Kraft effect, honestly. That and the Iowa game, that Iowa game went viral because the offenses were so dismal that game. And, and Dallas has been great at being on point on this all year about how good Lujan was. But we do forget that was his first game being an OC. That was and you're pinned back all game. And Mark's first game back facing live bullets, like there was a lot. And then you lose Tucker, who, if you look at the numbers, is a 10-point swing for our offense. Part of that is obviously I would contribute as well to the 605 Hogs just becoming not just a good unit, but a dominant unit. But that made a huge difference. You don't have that. So the first part of the year, I think there was some learning that we didn't even notice, because I mean, we're still scoring 30 points a game. It's not like nothing. But man, it is really impressive how good that offense got at the end of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, looking back at the playoff scores, it was a dominant run. Having said that, that Holy Cross game is way too fresh to think about that we were really dominant.
It wasn't a dominant win. It was
that
full
feel
win.
as dominant as the score, right?
Early fourth quarter in that game, I was puckered up pretty good there for a bit, because it was a little touch and go. But
if you think about it, those stupid headphones. God, this is gonna be awful. And you get to pick the background too. I'm not gonna tell you what I was gonna pick for your background, because I don't need to give you ideas or ammunition.
Well, not only there's always the next year too, right?
I'm holding it for next year. And the other bitter pills, I absolutely hammered you in the regular season.
The headphones, you really screwed the pooch in the playoffs. The headphones might even be good enough. I might even just no background, just headphones, because they're that good. Or maybe just a white background to really accentuate the headphones.
You are making that choice.
Can you find Hello
for
Kitty
next year
wallpaper?
I will be picking the background. Well, he can find whatever he wants. I don't give a damn. Well, I'll do it. But
we are men of our bets, as per what happened with Matt asking Coach about the favorite podcaster of SDSU.
Yeah,
right. Oh man, the legend running on the field in the Psycho Bunny costume was phenomenal. It was that would be incredible. Yeah. Do we want to talk just about the whole weekend, like leading up?
Yeah, let's talk about
that was
it.
incredible.
Let's do it.
That was a lot of fun. I got down there a day before you guys, and that was your loss. I mean, guess sucks to suck, but you guys probably had more gas in the tank after the game than I did, so maybe that was my mistake.
Well, I wasn't going to Disney World, so
yeah. How's your knee there, Hopalong?
About 2 weeks after, it's feeling not too bad, but it's still not.
Have you
stable.
went in?
It's still not stable. No, I haven't gone in.
Go to a doctor.
Do that, dude.
I just got back on Sunday, and I was sick yesterday, and then I worked today, so I'll get there.
They have a clinic in Del Rapids.
Anyway, for those people that saw me in a knee brace, I messed up my knee right before the trip, so that was fun. Anyway,
lots of comments rolling in, trying to keep up while we talk about other things, guys. Sorry.
We found the local. I had a lot of fun. The most humbling thing about this whole weekend, and Dallas touched on it, was the amount of people that came up to us and were like, "Hey, I love the show." Parents, fans, everybody. I sincerely apologize if it seemed like, especially at the tailgate, like I didn't talk long. I would have loved to talk forever. There was so many people that like, you got to talk to this guy. You got to go over here. You got to do that. Like, it was such a whirlwind of everything. And I don't have a great attention span as it is. So I sincerely apologize if I didn't talk as long as I would have liked to. I know I didn't even get to see people we usually kick it with at the tailgate that much, like the Amix, who we usually talk to for a while. But that whole weekend, and shout out, and I apologize, I'm also bad at names. The couple that met me at the local, and his wife who chewed me out for swearing.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Right. God bless you. That was the highlight. I
wonder if that's like Jennifer Hoffman that like gets on your case a little bit online.
Maybe. I don't remember. I don't think so.
Yeah, she was finger pointing you, and I thought that.
Oh
was
yeah,
funny.
she was in my business, man.
And I was like, "Well, what about me?" And she's like, "Well, you don't swear." And I'm like, "On the podcast."
Yeah, like, yeah, and I appreciate it. I get it. I understand, but also I'm gonna be myself too. So,
what?
I apologize in advance.
Wife got robbed.
Yeah. He lost his wallet.
Sorry,
she left her purse, and then somebody took the cash from it before he went and got it.
Yeah. Wow, with all SDSU fans there for the most part, that's pretty sad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, who knows? It could have been a worker at the local. Who knows? But
I mean, the local was great.
There wasn't
It
that
was
many workers.
phenomenal.
Hard to.
Well, and here's the thing I do want to say on that, because obviously they struggled. That place was a blast. It was a lot of
It
fun.
was.
They were
Right.
they were totally unprepared for what was happening, and we got to remember, because a lot of people are like, well, NDSU's down here all the time, so why aren't they ready? Well, the bars that were reaching out to us weren't the bars that are used to having NDSU fans there. It was the bars like, hey, and I'm damn sure the local was thinking, maybe we grab 100, 200 extra fans.
right.
I don't think they expected 1,500 to 2,000 to swarm the place. And it was really cool. Outside of the wait for the beer and then drinking, I think the drinking and a whole liquor store plus the bar dry is a badge of honor. That's freaking cool.
Oh, multiple liquor stores. They went on like 5 or 6 runs, I was told by their workers. They couldn't get beer fast enough. And you think you'd work with your distributor a little better, like, because the next day it was a Friday. You could probably think you'd have a relationship with a guy and be like, hey, we need a full, I don't know.
And to be
truck.
To be fair though, like the crowd there Friday night was pretty big. But the crowd there Saturday night was unreal.
Yeah,
that place was absolutely packed.
And if you missed out, that might be one of the biggest bars I've ever been to outside of Las Vegas.
And it did just open, as Jim pointed out. They're
huge.
I think if we're gonna do that next year when we go down there, because knock on wood, we're going back, we'll have to probably arrange something with them, because they declared themselves the official. We didn't do that. Nobody else did. They just said, hey, we're the official bar for Jackrabbit fans, hoping they'd get, like you said, a couple hundred people maybe.
Yeah. They got a little more than that. They didn't know it was coming for them.
I'm sure next time we should coordinate with them a bit. We can make sure they're ready.
And when I was down there, I stayed with the Rev. And so he got us to a spot that if we make it down there, whenever we go next, assuming we are fortunate enough to go another time, which I got to have a lot of faith in, go to Perry's on, I think we went on Friday for the pork chop in the afternoon. You got to get a reservation. That was unbelievable.
That big, was it?
Yeah. It was that thick. And the most tender and I've never had a pork chop that was that good. It was better than steak, I'll be honest. And I love House and Some Steak. That was incredible. So if anybody's going next time, make sure you get a reservation there and grab one. Friday afternoon, it's a lunch special deal. And actually, that was the small one. It was the size of my face. But yeah, that was incredible. I cannot recommend going there enough. That was amazing.
So, did anybody comment on the wicked singing here? I think I saw
somebody commented on the karaoke.
Should we talk about that a little bit?
It happened. Sam Herder did me dirty. And so, you know how you do karaoke and you got the stuff you sing, and then you got the stuff where you're drunk enough and then somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, let's do Backstreet Boys. And you're like, okay, who cares? It's just people and it's not a big deal. Well, Sam Herder's there and he puts it on his goddamn Twitter. It's like, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. And everybody was up there with their cameras. You're all of you. You're just a bunch of weenies. Every one of you.
Sam Herder's got a bit of a reach.
Yeah, he's got.
Yeah. You think we get stopped? How about poor Sam Herder?
Oh yeah, he was swarmed all night, but he hung out with.
He's the best, by the way.
He is awesome.
So cool.
Yeah, he's really fun to hang out with. He ended up hitching a ride with us. Was it that second night? The second night he hitched a ride with us to the next bar. We went to Brothers Bar. There. Oh, you were.
That was fun too.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun there. Met up with the Hair Raisers. That was a blast. And the FCS Fan Nation guys. I tried shoving a bunch of Jaeger down Kyler's throat, and he only drank 2 because he's soft.
He was just saying nobody was trying to get him to drink all weekend on the podcast that they had.
Well, Jamie jumped in and was like, Brendan was doing his damnedest to get you.
So, by the way, speaking of the FCS Or not, it's Fans Nation guys now, by the way.
Yeah,
well,
they
no,
changed.
they're still
They're FCS Fans
Nation.
Nation.
Oh yeah, it's
The
the Fans Nation
YouTube,
YouTube.
the YouTube is Fans Nation.
All right, so the FCS Fans Nation podcast guys. So they get their Airbnb. I think we need to do an Airbnb if we go again next year, like a JI Airbnb.
If it's got a massage chair, I'm down.
I heard that
it.
massage chair was
Dude.
like on point.
I'm just saying, Ariel and I've done some research recently, and that might happen.
They're
shortly.
very.
You're gonna
expensive.
purchase
I know
one?
someone that
I
has
genuinely might.
They're
Dude, they're
thousands
so
of
nice.
dollars.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
but also I get a massage at home for free after I paid for it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Anyway.
well, that's the whole thing. I'll tell you guys later. You don't need to air that out. But
anyway, so other than the local, the other before Sunday event was the pep rally, which didn't go over real well. I'm sure there's a lot of angry people about it. I will say that I feel like the venue screwed up more than the Alumni Association did.
Absolutely.
The venue bit off more than they could chew. Their planning was terrible. And I'm sure the Alumni Association was just banking on them being able to handle it. And
I think it's completely on the venue. I think they purposefully profit took. They knew they had oversold it. They didn't care.
And then they
were only going to get us for 1 year. I'm sure they told the Alumni Association, if you can guarantee this many people will handle the whole thing, won't be any cost to you. And completely unprepared is an understatement.
And then they decided to sell even more tickets and just put tables and then put tables outside. Like, here, this will fix it. It's like, no, it was actually a safety hazard in that place. But
it was absolutely did not meet any kind of fire code.
However,
tent.
I bounced for the bar right away about halfway through the line.
It was probably a good idea. I will say that the payoff was when the Pride showed up and played in the dark under the lights of like their buses. That was awesome. Like, I'm gonna contact the Alumni Association and be like, here's the deal, need to do it better next year, but don't get rid of the Pride showing up and playing, because that was really, really cool.
I was just thinking the whole time about you on a bum knee slammed in all those people. I'm like, oh,
I was just hobbling around through them.
That's a tough day.
I think there should be a lawsuit over it, to be completely honest. Somebody should go after them because they purposefully oversold the venue. Ariel's saying, they were selling tickets at the door. They knew it was already sold out. My cousin, I had kind of convinced him down at the local that it was a good deal. So he said, yeah, I'll do it. Well, he bought tickets that next day and they were $62 a piece. Him and his wife were only able to get a beer a piece for,
and they upped the price.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It was 55 and they upped it to 60. Yeah, I don't.
Hey, the amazing, great KP Marshall. It was great to meet you too, sir.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. It was good to see you guys. It was fun to see. We saw so many people. If you guys are wondering, that's Kevin Marshall from FCS Nation, the radio show. I believe he's on in Yankton Station and in the Brookings Station as well, if I remember correctly. Him and Stone Labanowitz, who, by the way, you should listen to Stone's interview with Mark Gronowski. That's pretty good stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was great meeting those guys. I mean, we met the Triumvirate guys. We met. You couldn't throw I ran into Jeff Kolpak,
the Blue Buds guy.
Yeah. I ran into Jeff Kolpak, and he told me about the forum moving in as Sioux Falls Live, which Matt Zimmer is now a part of. He didn't tell me that part, and I didn't think to bring it up at the time, but it kind of made sense. So now that Matt, who is a friend of the pod, is with Sioux Falls Live. That the forum's coming here and I heard they're planning to give us the similar coverage that McFeely and those guys give to that team up north, which would be phenomenal.
Looking
don't leave us, but that'd be a cool deal for everybody involved.
I was kind of surprised at how short Stone was, honestly. I just thought he was a bigger dude than that. And I mean, he was awesome to talk to. I didn't get to talk to him too much, but I expected him to be right around that 6 foot mark, and he was just a little shorter than that, I guess. So,
Well, it's one of those things. Guys stop playing and stop working out like crazy, and you lose a lot of mass. That makes it a little different.
oh no, I'm not being critical of his physique. You've seen me, right? And you've seen him,
right? Well, I've
Like,
seen myself in the mirror.
no-
I just stepped
no
on the
critique.
scale last night. I can't critique anybody because I am two of somebody right now. So
Stone is 4'7". Now I don't think he was that short, but he might have felt like it standing around the likes of Brendan.
Oh, we're gonna have to screenshot that and send it to Stone.
oh yeah,
I know
that's
that-
a beauty.
I know that
Just clip it and tag him on it on Twitter. Like
I know the Rev
I will.
said he felt small more than once.
and he's not a small cat. I mean, he's
Yeah.
6'1" ish or so. But
Mhm.
um,
But so after we get through Friday and Saturday, we come to Sunday morning, and that tailgate was what's
so
the
out of
deal?
control.
Sorry, my
Matt-
cousin's 6'9". It's the one I was talking about that bought the beer. Yeah, he's
Oh,
definitely tall.
Matt said your cousin's really tall.
Yeah.
But anyway, that tailgate was phenomenal. Like the whole setup with the big green area and just next to the edge of the parking lot, and all the SDSU fans that swarmed it and set up by us and joined us, and it couldn't have gone better. Like, how awesome was that party? Seriously.
I don't think it was so big you couldn't find the food.
That
That was the
that
only
was-
I
thing.
will say
They
well,
didn't have a line set up.
Yeah.
That's on them. They weren't
But
prepared. I suppose with their
Yeah.
transmission going out, that kind of got him off a bad foot.
I
too.
think he did. So yeah, his truck went out or something like that, and he planned on bringing like tables and setting up lines and stuff. And I think he was kind of scrambling a little bit because he had to go rent a truck. So the food wasn't as ideal as it could have been. Having said that, it sounds like the food is pretty good. If you could get some,
Yeah.
the beers were good.
I mean, it wasn't Brendan's brisket good.
they
I didn't try the brisket. I can't comment.
the beers only lasted. I don't know. They lasted till about
11:30.
Yep.
11:30.
All
We
the way
got
till
back
11:30?
from the player walkthrough. The guy caught me and said, "Hey, man, I know you're one of those JI guys. We just ran out of beer. Like, just gave out the last one. What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "That's a Matt question." And he's right behind me. Why don't you ask him that? So Matt said,
Yeah.
"You know what?
No, a
Time
lot
to
of
get back."
people listened to us and brought their own beer, and they had some extra to drink. So good job doing that. But yeah, thank you to everybody that contributed to it. That would not have happened without all of the sponsors of the tailgate, which go to our Twitter. You can find the corporate sponsors. And thank you to all the individuals that contributed to that as well. Wouldn't have happened without all those people.
Yep.
And thank you to, I got to give him a shout out quick. His name is Zach.
My name is
at,
what? My name is
That'd
who?
be the guy
Zach-
with the
Zach-
tail greeters.
Well, he's not with Tailgaters, but he uses that.
Okay.
Zach Muggenberg. He put on a tailgate for a couple seed companies. He helped us procure the area that we got. And so this looks like a little drone footage that may or may not have been taken.
That was taken earlier. I was
Yeah,
It was
this
pretty early.
I was providing some ground
like-
coverage.
There you go.
All that area in green was just a wall of people from, way over by those toilets all the way over.
Yeah, if you want a good
Yeah.
look at it, go look at Carter Schmidt's coverage from Kello. He had a pretty good shot of it. But yeah,
Shout
that
out
was
to Thomas for that.
that was so cool seeing everybody there. I thought Porta Potty City was going to be plenty. It was
No,
not.
not even
I did
close.
too. It
Not
was-
even close.
We
We
Holy
needed
crap.
double at least.
But I mean, we didn't know how many people were going to show up. We thought
Right.
maybe 400, 500 people.
Right.
We didn't. I didn't think. I bet there was at one point. I bet there was 5,000 people there.
I would not doubt it a bit.
I mean,
We had to be 5 cars deep
At its
from
largest.
end to end.
Well, because it was us, and then that seed company won, and then the JFPA had a huge amount of people there as well. I mean, we're
Right,
basically
yep.
all one giant tailgate,
Mhm.
and that egg lot that like weren't they supposed to be like block like their own special deal that people were going to pay to go to or something? And I don't know how they would have managed that if that was the case,
You
because it
had to,
was
like,
such a
I think you just didn't get served if you didn't have a wristband over there.
gotcha. Because I don't know how you'd be able to stop people going in. There was so many people, and the cool thing was too with how big ours was and everything. There was still a ton of tailgates set up throughout the lot. Like you
Yep.
could look out and see tailgate after tailgate after tailgate out there. It was so much fun out there. I know, and it went off so well. I didn't hear people really complain much, which was amazing. For
I didn't hear any complaints.
it turned out really, really well. I don't
And
think we
hats
could.
off to Mr. Ben,
Yes,
because he did most of the legwork on that, man. Good
Yep.
work. I
No
know we were all stressing, and you kept some of us off the edge of the cliff, so to speak.
Yeah. Hats off to Ben
Especially
for tons of the legwork. Matt for all the fundraising. Dallas for the sponsors board
Banner.
and all that
Yep,
stuff.
yep.
And Kyle for getting some stuff out there. I honestly felt like the kid at the end who was the part of the group project and got the same credit as everybody else.
Me too, man. That's how I usually feel.
And then hair raiser guys, I love you guys. They're like, and we gave them crap about it at the tailgate. They're like, yeah, Chad and Brendan are really putting on a cool tailgate. And Chad and I are like, we didn't do that.
We did the least amount. Yeah.
Like we gave input and helped plan and stuff like that. But I mean, Ben
sure.
handled all the making all the, the motor go and
Arrangements. Yeah.
Hey man, you guys always handle the tailgates at home games. I had to contribute something at some point.
Oh, it worked.
Seems
I'll
fair.
take that trade 10 times out of 10, buddy. Because
let's do.
you set one in the. If it means we're in Frisco, I'll take it 11 times out of 10.
Yeah. How about this? We just plan to do something really similar next year. Same bat time.
Oh yeah,
same bat place. And
yeah, with twice the porta potties.
Twice the porta potties. Might have to rent some of our own because that was not enough.
Yeah,
and I, honestly, I think their layout, the square, was not as conducive as just lining them up.
I think it was really fast once you got up to it, but it made the line. It made it seem like a lot longer wait because there was only one line.
Well, there's
people were clipping through. I mean, once you got within 10 yards of it, you were basically in already.
Yeah, that's the thing. The line was long, but it actually went pretty quick.
Yeah, it wasn't too terrible.
But anyway, enough about the porta potties. The DJ was awesome. That was cool. Thanks to Zach for setting that up too. The player walk-in was cool. If you missed that, make sure you catch that next time. That was pretty cool. Cheering the guys on as they were walking in. When they showed up with the cowboy hats, I was so cocky.
I was like, oh man,
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, oh, we better win or this is going to bite us right in the ass. Oh boy, this is going to be bad if we don't pull this one off.
Yeah.
Was it just me or was there a general feeling like of not cockiness, but just confidence that we had this one? Like everybody was just in celebration mode going into the game, even, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think that what really helped that was the way that we beat Montana State. The way that we just manhandled them when, they were supposed to be, this big challenge, and we just dominated them, and we've just been playing so well through the playoffs. And the fact that we'd already beat NDSU, I think that everybody had a confidence about them that they were pretty sure we were going to win. I mean, I think some people were still kind of nervous knowing that it's NDSU. But I mean, even we talked about the, I think Herder did the article with the coaches' comments or whatever. And the only people that thought NDSU might win, their reasoning was, well, NDSU's done it 9 times. They've never lost in Frisco.
Right.
None of them had an actual reason for why NDSU should win. The only ones that actually explained why a team was going to win said SDSU was going to win because they were reasonable about it and they saw how much better SDSU was. And so that kind of told you that, yeah, we should win this game. Having said that, it was still only a 5-point spread going in, and it was still, I was nervous at kickoff, pretty confident after that first touchdown, but After they scored right away, it's like, man, we might be in a dogfight. But yeah, I mean, it was just, it was definitely a confident feeling, which was weird, being that we were playing NDSU.
I mean, that first series being a 3-and-out definitely helped settle my nerves. That's when I was like, okay, maybe we do have the juice that we think we have here.
Yeah.
Well, when we stopped them and then we scored was when I was like, okay, moment's not too big for us.
Mhm.
Probably still going to be a dogfight. And then NDSU scores a touchdown, and it's like, okay, it's going to be one of these games. And then we scored and got that fumble and scored again. And I was like, oh, if the offense doesn't let their foot off the gas, this is over. And, I was sitting by Frazee and Rev and all those guys. And the cool thing was I never really sit in end zone seats that we were like only like 4 rows up. So it was an incredible viewpoint to see what was happening on the line of scrimmage, and the holes the 605 Hogs were opening up was, you can't quite grasp how much running room there was by watching the replay on TV. It was like opening the Red Sea almost every time. And that was when we scored that one. We scored to go up two scores, and it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna be fine. I was still nervous. Like I was so nervous. Kyler Nealon looked at me. He's like, "Are you okay?" Because I was shaking. Like in the second quarter, I was just shaking from nerves. And but there was definitely a feeling about it. And every time you asked one of the parents if you ran into them anywhere, you're like, "How are they feeling?" And they're like, "They're ready to win." Or they're super ready. And it wasn't like a false bravado. Like they were ready to go out and lay down the law, and they absolutely did. It was really impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy looking back saying, man, that was an easy win. But, you talked about like even early second quarter, it was tied still. And before we went, I think it was Amar broke off a long touchdown run. I mean, the game was kind of, up in the air still. When we took that lead, it felt pretty good. And then, like you said, when we went up 21-7, then it started to really feel really good. But we talked about one of the keys before the game of being, we can't get into the red zone, stall, and kick a field goal.
Right.
Well, we barely got into the red zone because we had these long plays. Like,
yep.
I mean, Mark's touchdown was what, 51 yards?
Yep. Amara had a 30-yarder. And I think both of Jackson's touchdowns were over 25, around there.
Yeah.
Well, it was just that one field goal going into half was the only one, right?
Which was set up by a 50-yard run by Amar.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
there was three seconds left or whatever. So
Davis's first touchdown was 19 yards. I don't know if we ever got inside the 15-yard line.
Right.
Honestly.
There was,
because it was just I'd have to go back and look at the drives, but
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
This comment I pulled up from Jim Poppin. How awesome was the crowd when this happened? Just
erupted.
Erupted. I think that's when my voice got shot, but I don't know.
Wasn't that the one to go up by 2 scores? 2.
3.
That was the one to go up
that was to go 28-7.
Like that was the dagger in the infamous words of Wayne Larrabee. We just didn't know it yet, because it's one of those things. Matt Frazee talks about it during the FCS Fan Nation pod. He's like, Chad was like, if we could just finish this out, we're going to be okay. And Frazee's like, you're up by 21. Have you been watching this game? And he's got a point, because I was on the same boat as you, but also Frazee, you've watched enough of these matchups between us and NDSU where I said 4 or 5 times last week, did a TV interview and even said it, where it felt like over the last decade, we could run for 700 yards and pass for 500, and we'd win by 3 points after holding them to 200 yards total, because it just works out that way. So it was one of those things. You still had that feeling like, God, it's still NDSU. Like, this is going to be tight just because it's going to be tight. That's just the way it always goes. And to this team's credit, they were not about letting that happen at all. And it was a beautiful thing to watch.
Right. And you mentioned, the 605 Hogs. I just got to give them a shout out too. I mean, they were absolutely dominant.
Yeah.
There were a few runs where we only got like 3 or 4 yards, but like having that be our failure is crazy. Like
Well,
usually a
You know who
failure.
else was dominant? Not just the regular 605 Hogs, but our tight ends were doing work that game.
oh yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
they moved some people
in a
Yeah.
big way.
in a
Yeah.
big way.
Tight ends and wide receivers. I mean, the blocking all around was
Oh, yeah.
just insane.
Well, one of the blocks
Jackson or
to Spring
Jigden
Amar's first touchdown was one of the Yankees motioning across and like kicking a guy out, like a linebacker. That was impressive as hell.
I think that was on Davis's first touchdown.
Yes, it was the very first touchdown. Yeah, I said
Yep.
Amar. I'm an idiot, but it was Davis. Yeah, and how exciting is it that we get that whole offensive line back? Because after how much they gelled throughout the season, and then they got spring ball, it's like, I feel good.
Yeah,
and our weaker side, if you will, got better all year long.
Oh yeah. Right. I mean, how much of a fact did we even mention Spencer Wagey in this game?
No,
like did his name even come up in the broadcast?
Tackle, that was
like he was a considering how dominant he was in that first game. Like he just was not mentioned at all, and that's a credit to John O'Brien on the right side, and a credit to Lujan, who clearly game planned for it and made sure that he wasn't a factor, because he was their best player when we played him the first time, and he was an absolute non-factor this time. And so, speaking of Lujan, just have to give shout out to him. He called an amazing game. Like he had NDSU's defense on their heels. Now, obviously, we got to have guys like 605 Hogs and everybody to execute it. But from just especially when we pull out a play like that Morgan touchdown, that having NDSU do that to us earlier in the year and then we do it back to them, it's just I don't know. And Holy Cross doing it to us and then we use it. I don't know. He was just a master class, and for that guy to do it in his first year as offensive coordinator is unreal. I mean, how many dudes win a championship in their first year of offensive coordinator, and are as young as he is? His first actual offensive coordinator job.
Well, and our defensive coordinator is his first year as a full-time defensive coordinator too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was co-coordinator before, but.
Well, and that's something I think that was underrated. I mean, it's hard to say it's underrated when the guy wins the Coach of the Year award, but underrated about Stig's performance as a head coach this year, which I just want to get something out of my system. Where the Stig hate is at that was saying we're never going to win a natty with him. Bet you're real goddamn quiet right now, ain't you? Yeah. You know who you are deep down inside. I want you I hope you know and feel the shame, because that's awesome.
It is a good point, because there were in those years where I think it was 1 or 2 years in a row where we lost like in the first round of the playoffs, and it's like, oh, Stig's never going to get us there. Yeah,
it never stopped. I mean, from I think probably like the second time we lost to NDSU or something in the playoffs, that started to get louder and louder. And then when we lost a couple times in the semis, then it got there was a vocal faction about it. And yeah, so I'm so happy.
But there was some doubt creeping into everyone's mind at a certain point. Like, are we ever going to get over the hump? Right. And I think that all went away when we did what we did COVID year. We knew at that point.
For some people, I saw quite a few comments yet scattered throughout the social medias of people just saying some ridiculous shit. But the job he did to have the 2 coordinators that were as young as they are to mentor them into this sort of season. Because if you were to say a coach like Stig, who's been here for 26 years as the head coach, was going to win his national title, you wouldn't pick the year where he basically has his coaching staff gutted and everybody's new.
Yeah.
And And a lot of that, they say it's about the Jimmies and the Joes, and the players were phenomenal, but there was some serious coaching that went on as well. Just watching the improvement with the 605 Hogs throughout the year.
Mhm.
And
our secondary got better all year too.
How the secondary got better, how we were able to plug and play guys in. I mean, some of that is good coaching to put those guys in position to make the play. And so shout out to those guys as well, not taking anything away from the players at all. But to have a season like we had, it takes an outstanding effort from everybody. And really kudos to that, because I do want to mention that, because it feels like there's a fair amount of people who were kind of like, well, Stig's getting this more of a, they weren't openly saying it, but they were kind of inferring or had that tone to it that this is more of a lifetime achievement award for Stig, and other people had better seasons coaching. And I think it is forgotten what we had to deal with going into this season.
I mean, look at the guy's body of work, where he came from, how the program started to where it is today. That's just phenomenal.
And back to Lujan, I really enjoy his play calling, because he didn't. Watching
swing passes in the national championship.
Watching X play calls, like he was just a lot of run and gun and like trick plays, but Lujan's was much more calculated.
Absolutely.
His was different formations, different motions, which is a lot of what you see in the NFL now. Like if you watch NFL football, you'll see a lot of what Lujan called, especially with the extra tight end sets. He used them so well, and it's just, I don't know. I think he is such a big part of the success that this team had on offense this year. It can't be understated.
Well, I think like if you compare Eck and Lujan, if you were to compare their styles, Eck is like an artist with a lot of flair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Lujan's offense is like a beautiful, he's like an engineer. It's like an engineer. Everything's beautifully engineered about this offense.
No doubt.
It's not necessarily flashy, but it's super effective, and it just kills teams, even though it's not the best to look at all the time.
Yep.
And I think that's the way I would compare them. I don't necessarily think that's a knock on either one of them. It's just the difference in their styles.
Yep, no doubt. I mean, it helps having the 605 Hogs, and it helps having guys like Davis and Amar. I mean, what more can you say about Isaiah Davis and Amar Johnson, especially Amar Johnson? Like, he just got better as the year went on, and as the coaches talk about now, he got healthier as the year went on, and you could tell like it made a difference in his speed and quickness and his balance. You could tell he got more confident with himself. Yep. And man, he just took off, and some of those plays he made in this game were huge. And like, if you go back and do a rewatch, you'll see some key moments in this game where Amar made some huge plays. I think I forget at what point it was in the game when it was like 3rd and 7, and we were just calling a draw play. And, we were just basically, well, here's a conservative play. If we don't get it, we'll just punt. And Amar makes a cut, stiff arms the guy, and goes for first down. And it's like, that's just an extra set of downs that we did not expect to get because of a great individual effort by Amar Johnson. So huge credit to him. So excited with the way he played towards the end of the year, and so excited to see what he does going into next year.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I think that's underrated about Amar is, because everybody calls him the Lightning to Davis's Thunder, and he is a little shiftier, faster back and smaller build. That dude was throwing stiff arms all over the place. Throwing guys down, breaking tackles, all over the field in this game. And it was, I don't want to put it on par with Isaiah's performance versus Sam Houston, because that was kind of
otherworldly. It's different.
But it was a really, really impressive performance.
Let's not forget how well he performed in Fargo. I mean, it was a similar.
He loves a similar performance.
DSU.
Yeah,
he just eats against those guys. He's like Zeke out there. Just let me eat, bro.
Right. That is true. I mean, you get him into open space, and it's trouble for the other team.
And Mark was so on this game. He was so on.
He had some key passes that, on third downs that like the game felt easy because we were so efficient on third down.
Right.
What were we? I think we were like, I wrote it down.
At one point we were like 8 for 9 and we ended up 9 for 14.
9 for 14. Yeah. But yeah, like you said early in the game, it was like every third down we were converting. Mm-hmm. And when you don't have to punt, it's good. The game's going to be pretty easy for you. But when we did have to punt, Hunter Dustman, I forget, it was earlier in the game, but he absolutely flipped the field on a punt that made a huge difference.
And the coverage team did a great job pinning it on like the inch line.
Well, there was that one, but it was earlier in the game. We were pinned deep in our own territory when Yankee had a weird bounce on the kick return, and I think we went 3 and out. And I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be bad." And then Dustman had like a huge punt. I forget how long it was, but we got him all the way back to like the 30-yard line on the other side.
Dude, Dustman was punting 50-yarders the whole game, dude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was on this game. That punt was really impressive too because he did it while not allowing their return man to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you get like a 50, 60-yard punt that's through the air and y'all kick your coverage and they can return it. He just kicked it away and you could tell because he was kicking like this all game. That was on purpose to get it to roll and make him chase it to the other side of the field.
Yeah, he had more of a rugby style, I feel like that.
Well, there was one time he faked did you guys, I don't know if you guys could see from your vantage point, he faked their kick returner out.
Really?
He started going rugby right and saw their returner go and then booted it to the left side of the field.
Nice.
And that was...
I'll have to go back and check that out.
I remember seeing it from my vantage point. Swear to God, I remember seeing that. And it was real. I was like, wow, I've never seen a punter fake out a returner. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was good. So having talked about our offense...
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it does seem like from what Coach said, our team is a little bit beat up. And Perry asked about that. And yes, he did that. He did mention that like 18 players need surgery. So
what I was going to say is, having talked about our offense and now our special teams, we have to talk about our defense. First off, Jimmy Rogers called an amazing game. But like going back like all year, our defense was our calling card. And they say defense wins championships. I mean, this SDSU defense was absolutely dominant and is probably the greatest SDSU defense of all time.
Yes.
I don't know that can be disputed. Just with the stats that they put up and the dominance that they had in making their way to the championship. But especially in this game, I mean, our defensive line is just phenomenal. I saw Caleb's mom made that comment earlier, missing the Caleb background. We should have a Caleb background up here because that guy is Caleb and Winkleman. Those two are just absolute SDSU legends. The seasons that those two had, they were just like leaders of the defense. And just so impressive game after game that I don't know. I mean, they're forever a part of SDSU lore because of the way that they led this defense to a championship.
Yeah, it was Chad, you're tripping me out.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say
I'm back. I'm alive. I'm dead. I'm alive. I'm dead. Look at him go. Oh no, Ben's gone. I don't think he's doing it as a joke, though.
Well, let's remove him. I think we lost him. He's gonna have to restart.
Get out of here, Ben, with your bum knee. No, Reese and Caleb were really the heart and soul somewhat of this defense, where they did so much. And I know we always talk about how deep our defensive line is and everything like that. I'd have friends who don't even really watch the FCS sending me text messages about those guys going, God, these guys are monsters. Oh my God. Yeah. So they're going to be sorely missed, you know?
Yeah.
What do you do? But absolutely, like Ben said, this whole defense is going to go down in Jackrabbit lore forever. I mean, this whole team, obviously.
Well, they did it with how many players? 21 different players?
22 different starters.
So deep.
It was just plug and play. And that's not to take away from the guys that were excellent, like you're naming, Caleb and it's just crazy.
There's so many legendary stories that are going to get told around the tailgate after
Freeman's interception, Mr. No
with
biceps,
80% torn bicep.
Right,
that's unreal.
Zach Hines playing with a broken foot. I mean, this is like carve that story in the walls of the Dana. I mean, actually chisel that in.
Dude, I hope
around it. Like that's such cool stuff.
It sounds like Zimmer might write a book about it.
Yeah, he talked about it.
He said he might. And he put out the deal about it with. No, Dustin, the show's not over. We haven't even hit an hour yet, man. We're not at 45 minutes in this. Jesus, I could talk about nothing all day. Have
you met Brendan?
Yeah, have you met me before? You stayed in the same room as me.
Yeah, it was Jason Freeman's interception. That's when I was 100% confident it's in the bag.
Right.
We don't need to celebrate yet, but it's in the bag.
How was Stig so surprised by the Gatorade bath? Someone did an incredible job because you see these natties.
It was Schaefer.
Big games. Schaefer was distracting him. Was it Schaefer? It was.
Yeah,
he did a phenomenal job at it because Stig had no idea. And normally those guys get that boogie right away.
Yeah.
And as soon as they feel that little bit, it just clips the back of them. Stig got both barrels of that. I mean, he got hammered. I had people who we walked by in the crowd on the field that were
drenched,
and people were like, "I'm sticky from him touching me." And I'm like,
he was doing this. He's like sucking it out of his coat, that turtle fur or whatever. I'm sorry, that's a band reference, I think. But
why wouldn't you? That was awesome.
One other guy, Jim Poppin said he talked to Freeman after the game. Such an awesome dude. I mean, just another big part of the story. What was I going to say? Yeah, this comment. Did you listen in the broadcast? They were like, yeah, this is the Yankee with a thicker neck. That's the only way we can tell them apart.
Like, the one has a thicker neck, and I'm like, I've seen them both. Do they really? Like, that's a strange. That must have been a joke by a teammate or a coach that got put into the broadcast notes because I was like,
I'm gonna send them a tape to measure their necks, and they gotta do it on social media or something.
I mean, potentially there's some difference, but I bet it's near imperceivable.
You mean you're not gonna notice a quarter-inch difference? Two grown men.
I mean, I go around looking at dudes' necks regularly, Brendan.
Yeah, I know that's your fetish. That's why you have such a long beard, so people can't see yours. I get it.
That's right. But I don't want them turned on.
Yeah.
But yes,
by my turkey giblet here.
This one-handed grab though, I didn't even see it in the stadium.
It was unreal.
On the replay, wow! Like that ball was cooking, and he just snatched it. That was unreal.
Yeah, it was almost like one of those doctored videos that you see going around online where the guy's not even looking and then just snags it with one hand.
Yeah,
and nothing moves. That was legitimate like that. It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And how weird was it? Perry Weichman says the chart says go for two, almost conceding. How do you not go for two there?
Right.
Like they actually had. If you go for two there, and then you do some onside kicks, like you got a chance. How do you not?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Dustin.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. What was Ariel saying? What about the shirt for next year?
Oh, so this kind of got washed away in the weekend a little bit. The shirts were such a huge hit.
Ben shirts.
Ben shirts that he put
together.
Oh
yeah, the ears up, ones down.
For the marker game. I think that's what she's talking about for the marker game next year. We are planning on doing a second run. You had somebody offer you like $100 for one of those, didn't you? Like,
yeah, they were going to buy two at $100 a piece,
right? Like, hopefully, you're listening to this, and the word got around a little more, and those guys hear this and follow us on Twitter so that they can get in on that because that could not believe the desire for that when we were sitting at the local, and this was in the afternoon.
Yeah, the middle of the day.
And
I think we're gonna.
A lot of
Go
people
ahead,
reach out to me after the game too, saying they want one. We'll do another run of them for the marker game next year for sure.
And I think we're planning on an updated gear catalog for JI and potentially a new reseller, it sounds like, or a sell site potentially. So look for some new things coming out there. We have some ideas, I know. So
Dustin,
so
you did not offer that. I may have taken that. I may have sold you the shirt off your back.
Oh, there's some inside joke there.
That's
you know.
There's a lot of inside joke, and if I catch some heat for swearing, we are not talking about who his famous cousin is. But
correct.
I'm just gonna say most men in our formative years probably have. If you heard the name, you'd go, "Oh yeah,
I've heard that name. Somewhere."
Wait a minute, why is that name so familiar?" As you run off to Google and then figure it out.
All right, moving on. So besides Sanders and Winkleman, another guy we'll miss is Deshaun Gales. The dude was so good this year. It's been so fun to watch him develop, and he was a huge part of the secondary doing what they did this year. He was just so like he's a very humble dude, like which is different for like a cornerback. Usually you see some flash and some, but he just made plays. He made plays and he just got back in the huddle. And so, he's just another guy that was a big part of this championship run that is taken off after this year. But what's crazy is the guys we've mentioned, like Gales, Winkleman, Sanders on defense, and then Kraft on offense. Have I missed any other major contributors that are going to be gone next year?
Not off the top of my head, but I'm stupid, so take that into account.
I mean, there's some potential there and some other spots. Guys that like Hines, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
He's good enough. He could maybe think about the next step.
Yeah, but
it
is scary what this team brings back.
It's unreal. I mean, if you're the rest of the FCS, you have to be very concerned about the ability to even have a chance at winning the championship. Honestly, right. I mean, we're going to be that heavily favored. Like it's going to be like it'll be, which is weird for us, but it'll be similar to the year after, like when NDSU is absolutely dominant and they bring most of their team back and they're like, well, it's NDSU or the field. That's what it's going to be like for us next year. It's going to be SDSU or the field. Which again is just such a weird feeling.
At our favorable schedule too.
Yeah, yes. I mean,
and we'll, here's the thing about that. I don't like to look too far ahead next year yet because the transfer portal has not spoken yet.
Yeah, no doubt.
And we have so far, knock on wood, not been grossly affected by it yet, but you never know what happens. So I don't want to get too wound around the axle about that until next year, but you're right. With what we should have coming back, oh baby, do we have some good stuff going on.
Do I have that wrong? Somebody's saying that Gales is back and Lofton is gone? Do I have that backwards?
You got that backwards.
I think that's right. Yeah, you do have that backwards.
Well, we got another year for Gales then.
Yes.
Thanks to Malik for what he did this year. I mean, he was like both of them. Really, both of them were just like they just made plays, and we didn't talk about them a whole lot, but that's just which is a good thing because you're usually talking about cornerbacks when they miss some coverage and they're getting burnt. And so they just I don't know, they just came to work every week and did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah. I do want to take a quick moment to mention something that I experienced at the end of the game that I'm very appreciative. Obviously, it was against NDSU. We're not the biggest fans of their fans, but in the token of not acting like what we feel NDSU fans act like, I do want to point out some really good fan interactions I had with them. Matt Frazee, like when the game was over, was like, no, like he was coaching us up on how to rush the field. And that's not an isolated incident. I talked to a couple people who had NDSU fans who were like, you got to get up here. You got to get up here now and all that stuff, and helping Jax fans out to how to do it properly because we hadn't done it before and all that stuff. And that was a cool deal. I thought that was really neat. Obviously, we all know Matt Frazie's an awesome dude, but we appreciate the hell out of it for it. And yeah, that was a great time. And I still just want to fervently hope that our fans remember what we always said about NDSU fans and don't act like NDSU fans.
Mm-hmm.
Don't act like what you hated, and I realize that's going to happen eventually, and it is what it is. There's already other teams' fans taking bets about how long until our fans are hated online. I would prefer we didn't turn out like that, but it is what it is. What a hell of a weekend though overall. I mean, we got a hell of a year coming up too.
We got great out of conference too with Montana State coming back to Brookings. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be. You got to think those guys are going to be chomping at the bit to try and prove something there.
We're going to be all sorts of pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that you can talk trash with an NDSU fan is when they try to say, well, we have 9 natties. You just tell them that, well, the only one where you played SDSU, you lost. So, and that's all you got to say. And then just move on.
And the only other thing I'll fire back on now anymore is if you need NDSU fans to sell at your stadium. No, we don't. We sold out twice this year. And then how'd your sellouts go? Was that only UND and SDSU? And that was it? So you need our help. You're welcome. I don't know. That's about the only one I'll really throw out there. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I don't know, man. I'm too wrapped up in the joy of what happened. And especially being growing up.
Speaking to your point just a little bit, Brendan, did you see the crowd kind of the same way I did? Is like more blue from the end zone?
I personally would have pegged it at 50-50.
I think it was exactly 50-50.
Matt Frazee turned and looked at me and said, there's more Jax fans here. And I always try to shy away when I'm making a guesstimate like that from guessing too optimistically. But yeah, I would say it was 50-50. And, you ask NDSU writers, oh, it was 60-40 NDSU. No, it was not 60-40. I know that
definitely.
For sure.
I would say that's not true. I'm not trying to brag or anything. But my perspective was a few more Jax fans.
And like Kevin Marshall said earlier, way earlier in the pod about the Mike Morgan touchdown, he said that's the loudest he's ever heard that stadium. And that's from a guy who's gone to every national title game, which is saying something. And I think that touchdown and just the amount of fans we had there, showed the confidence that we had. And then the noise they made was the release of the last 6 years of being so close and not getting to taste that final deal. Because for the first time, we are the only team that made the playoffs and didn't end with a loss. And that is one hell of a way to go out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I will say, speaking of in the stands, if anybody was in the section and saw me hobbling down the stairs carrying beer in one hand and waters in the other hand, and so like I told you about my bad knee, I was taking the stairs a little too fast because I was excited to get down there. I slipped right on my ass, spilled the beer on myself, and people ran to my side and they picked me up like an idiot.
Your knee didn't hurt much at that point, but how'd your pride feel?
Oh my God.
I felt real stupid, and then I was taking them 2 steps at a time from that point on.
Ben's going down their stairs.
Step.
Look at the excited crippled boy, and then he falls. Oh no.
So if anybody saw me fall, I wasn't drunk. I was severely injured at the time and was taking stairs too fast. Yeah,
that's the best.
Still
Yeah.
counts as a football injury.
Yeah, shout out
Count
to
it.
Paul Seiler's comment to I think it was
Yes.
Carter Schmidt. He's like basically I give up my whole life to have this opportunity to be here right now, which I thought was great. But
That was fantastic. Yes, it was.
yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I think that's all I have to say about it. I'm just still
Yep.
every day I've been reminiscing about a different part of the weekend. If I've had so many people that didn't go say that they wish they would have gone, and they're kicking themselves for not going.
We tried telling everybody.
We tried telling you. One thing I will say: go right now. I think you can go to NCAA FCS's site right now and sign up for the notifications for when championship tickets go on sale. They go on sale. What is it? July or August or something like that. I don't remember.
I think it's
early August. I think it's early August.
Yeah.
They go on sale early August. Just buy tickets then. Buy 2, buy 4, whatever. They're usually they're anywhere from 100 to 125 bucks a piece. I'll guarantee that you can at least get your money. Well, I can't guarantee that. There's a very high likelihood you can at least get your money back if you don't need to use them. But there were too many people that were without tickets this year. So just want to give everybody a heads up. You might as well try to secure some tickets. Worst case, you get some from the allotment and you can find other Jacks fans to give the tickets you bought to. But just a heads up for next year. For anybody that didn't get to go and are hearing how awesome of a time it was, that's a tip for next year.
Yeah. And watch the flights and get them early.
Flights too. Ones. Yeah, flights. Definitely book them. Have the flights planned out you want to book, and then during the semifinal game when you know we're going to win, book them then. Because if you waited until afterward, they started to go up real quick.
Or do what I did and just commit to going no matter what. And
you do that too.
Yeah. I mean, Frisco is still fun, even if we're not there.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a blast.
It's a good time. It is a lot of fun. And they're getting Universal Studios coming up here, which is cool.
Yeah. How have they set a date for that?
I didn't see that.
That won't make it any easier.
It's supposed to be stuff. Like no, yeah, it might make it a little tougher, like traffic wise and stuff, but and it's like just north of the stadium. It's not very far. And it's supposed to be like a kids themed Universal Studios, which that'll be cool for like people to bring their families down and have their kids be able to go there. I don't know what the timeline is on that. I'm sure it'll take 2 to 3 years or something.
Ben wouldn't have needed an extra flight.
Exactly. I could have just done the whole vacation in Frisco.
Could have
dude, I would love to like just make a week-long vacation. Like you go to the game and then you stick around and go to Universal. How sweet would that be?
Right. That'd be awesome. I'd probably go ahead of time. Honestly, I'd do the week before.
Yeah.
So that way the game outcome doesn't have an effect on how the rest of your vacation goes.
Yeah.
Not just kicking the ground all weekend.
Dustin says it'll be a few years. You can see where they had it fenced off. Okay. Perry says the drive wasn't bad. Yeah, I mean, for those that drove down, like it's really not a bad drive if you don't want to fly.
It's like 12 hours.
It's like 12 hours, 14 hours.
And it's basically all interstate. It's very, very easy to go.
Yep. So, and we couldn't ask for better weather. It's been
the
horrible weather for like the last decade down there.
And we got
beautiful weather.
We got by with the last year of the natural turf with good weather because the turf held up pretty well.
Well, hopefully
it was chunking out a little bit, but yeah,
it was pretty good. And yeah, it sounds like they're going with turf. They're bringing in a turf field from now on for the championship, which would be pretty cool.
That would be. I'm just worried that the weather was so good this year and the turf held up. So they're like, well, the turf did really well. And all the things we did different are going to work out. So we'll just not do that because that's expensive. And
I think they were pretty dead. I think they've heard enough. They were pretty dead set on making that change. Paul, yes, we did talk about how insane the local was. We talked about maybe coordinating with them next year to help them out.
Sorry I didn't get you pudding shots. I made 5 batches and they went like hotcakes. So
yeah, maybe we get them to coordinate with us and put our flags up in a couple spots. That'd be cool.
Dude, that's what I think too. All they need really is like these. When we didn't go to really busy bars, they've got these like satellite beer stations
Yeah,
where you can just walk
right.
up and get a beer.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
Yeah.
And so
Yes, we did, Dustin. We did
about-
discuss it, Rev.
My sweet.
We did
dulcet
not
tones.
discuss in depth how good you are at
Yeah.
Yeah.
just rapping away.
Yeah, Rev can throw down, man.
Dustin
It's-
Helton
in a
has,
manner that would surprise you.
yes, an amazing rap repertoire. It's very, very good.
I, the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, Jesus. Okay. This is the way we're getting down. I'm for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Jim says, it is a different turf. It's weird because it is natural grass, but it's such a
Well, it's
I don't know.
soccer pitch.
It's
It's
because
not
it's
really.
a soccer pitch, so they have
It's got
It was like
sand in it, and
it
it's
was like
not made
almost
for like that kind of
spongy.
pushing.
It was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Where's
So, anyways, we're at a
Jim
buck
popping
17
when you need him here.
Right.
That's what
Yeah,
I gotta know.
We're in garage time.
We're in garage time.
I don't
This
know
whole
if-
podcast has been garage time since it's over, boys.
I don't know if
Anybody
we're gonna
that wants to know, we'll have a podcast for wrestling this Thursday. It'll start at 7. We're gonna have a special guest, Kate DeVos, and it should be good. Also,
Be
just
there,
wanted
or we will find you.
yeah, I'll be busy doing the podcast, so I won't be able to find you. But Brendan will come find you.
I'll find you. I finally shaved my beard.
You did?
No,
Was
I
that
said I can finally shave my beard.
Why? Why not
It's
just
getting
leave it?
annoying because it's getting annoying.
I also want one other shout out I want to make since we have a second here. Jordan Fink brought some Weller, some really, really good whiskey. Some of us enjoyed it after the game. Some of us shot it.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was Ben and Matt. They shot like really high end whiskey. I
Ben.
handed it to them in a cup, and they're like, "Okay." Didn't know what it was, and I was like,
Oh, they didn't know.
What'd you
Well,
guys
that's on
do?
you. You
Tell
got
us.
to tell them.
well, I told them it was really good whiskey. That's what I told them. Like I figured that.
Yeah, but
meant
you
they
didn't
knew
say it was
that
a
you
sip
it.
sipping whiskey.
Wow,
All
that was
right.
really smooth. Oh my god, it was so good.
There it is. Yeah,
I can see it. I've witnessed that before.
it wasn't smooth because their eyes went like this. It is smooth, but not the way they did it.
Yeah, that's probably why I don't remember much of the flight from Frisco.
It was a
from
small.
Dallas
I
to
didn't
Orlando.
give you that much.
No, but I drank.
What
plenty
happened to
that
the
day.
bunny suit, Ben?
I saw it over by the JFPA guys.
Oh,
One of the
they took
former
it,
players
maybe.
probably took it.
Yeah.
Did you ever get that smell out of the rental? I guess
Trophy.
we should go
No.
go check now.
Yeah, yeah. About that
Speaking of Perry said basketball Thursday. Yeah, how awesome was it how SDSU dominated
Oh,
like right after football wins the championship?
women
that,
set a new record.
That was an unreal game, and then the men just
Men's biggest win in Vermilion since 1970.
love
Like,
it.
Yeah. Welcome back, Coach. Glad you're alive. Here's a giant L.
right.
Sorry, bud.
Look at us. Who'd have thought? Not me.
But anyway, yeah, follow the wrestling podcast. Chad will be on there. Follow the Rabbit Rundown. That's the basketball podcast. Those guys do a good job of covering that. I don't know if you'll see us until before next year.
I might be doing some off-season stuff with like Dallas and Matt, or possibly you if you're interested.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
we
you'll
could have some former player features going on. It sounds like there's a lot of interest.
Yep.
So,
And
there
not
you go.
like not recent former players, but
no.
like way back, cool, like crazy history stuff. But beyond that, thank you to everyone who has listened to us all year. Thank you to all you who came up to us and talked to us while we were down in Frisco.
Mhm.
Thank you for thanking us, because I'll be goddamned why you're thanking us for buying some mics and talking in front of a computer screen. But God bless you. We appreciate you for it. If you're new, give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe. It just helps us grow what we're doing. If you like what we're doing,
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend,
Yeah.
spread the news a little bit. We've got the swag store, and we don't really necessarily do that for money. We do it so people see the JI logo and ask what the hell's that about. So we really appreciate all you guys, no matter how you're listening. If you're with us live, submitted questions. We love the questions. Thank you all. Thank you to FCS Fan Nation or FCS Nation Network for having us on there. That's been a big boost for what we do.
Fans Nation Network.
Just Fans Nation Network. God, I'll get it someday.
You'll get it.
It's new. It's
And
today new.
It's yeah.
Thank you to the rest of our sponsors, Dakota Iron and Shenanigans. Didn't mention in this pod, but thank you to them for sponsoring us all year. We really appreciate it.
Thank
And
you to my
Culver's.
wife. Thank you to my wife for putting up with me doing this. I
should thank my
it.
wife for that.
Yes. I think you should.
Even though she won't hear it, I will thank her. Thanks,
Yes.
honey, and for all the
For
great old fashions.
putting up with the tomfoolery and we got to do this. We're doing this at 8. So sorry about whatever you had planned, but I'm doing this. Putting up with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love you.
Now that we're done thanking wives, we can thank Culver's of Brookings for the B Team Butterburger sponsorship.
Yes.
Appreciate that. We almost got the Butterburger, 50 Butterburger in the championship. Didn't quite get there.
Oh, that'd have been incredible.
That would have been sweet. But anyway, thanks everybody. As always, go big,
Go big.
go blue, go Jacks.
Go Jacks.